Hey, it's Karlie.
Hey, it's Shamina. And
we're
emotionful. You beat me to it. You was just like, I was like, I'm gonna go in first.
I'm ready.
No, ma'am. So, welcome back, everybody. We want to thank our patrons from Patreon, Joanne Stewart, Kevin Gallagher, and Therese Gallagher. Thank you all for your continued support. If you would like to, why can't I talk today?
I don't know. You need a minute?
I need to open up my throat chakra here.
That's what he said.
No.
Check us out if you want to become a patron. You can. We have different levels. And also follow us on social medias. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us. DM us. Send us any love that you know how to on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Facebook is Emotionful Podcast, and YouTube is at Emotionful Pod.
YouTube's Emotionful Podcast.
What did I say?
Emotionful Pod. Instagram is Emotionful Pod.
Instagram. You're right.
You were on a roll there.
I was.
You were. All right. So today we're talking about life stability. And if you don't know what that means yet, that's cool because we're going to explain our own versions in un momento after our intro. So, are you ready to get emotionally full today?
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
I wanted to do it reminded me of Dory when she's talking to the whales, you know, and finding people.
Are you?
Oh, my mom used to make fun of me because I would talk in whale speak to her.
I remember that.
All right, so life stability.
Yes.
What does that mean to you, Karlie?
Okay, so we were just talking, but to me it means like, okay, so the way that I see it is like, after everything that I've been through this past year, like I'm finally starting to have like this routine, you know, where my life is kind of predictable. I wake up, I go to work, I walk my dog after work, I make dinner, I relax, boom, boom, bang. And then on the weekends, I'll hang out with friends or, you know, like it's very like steady.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes with that stability and steadiness, I'm like, am I missing out on certain things, or is my life boring? Am I a boring person? And then I just have to remind myself, like, no, I'm just like, I'm at this different phase where like right now my life is steady and I don't have to expect like a crazy thing to happen, or like I'm not going to any ragers on the weekend and things like that.
So what was your life like before this steadiness? Like
it was unpredictable. So like in college, I didn't know what my day would bring. Any day. I didn't, you know, a friend would call me up and we'd go do something on the weekends. Like, granted, on the weekends, for most times I would go to parties or clubs or whatever, but I didn't know. And it was always like, you know, just doing, or I would work or, you know, and then like, obviously with the breakup, like emotionally, I wasn't steady. So there were days where I didn't even know how I was going to feel, but like now, not only is like physically it's steady, but like also I feel like mentally and emotionally I'm getting more steady too. So it's just like this rhythm of just like, you know, it's just in tune, but sometimes when it's in tune it feels like off. Does that make sense?
It does. And my chair like slid back real. I think I feel that shift too in my own life. And I think for a lot of people, when things start to slow down is when, we either think that we're boring or we start getting really nervous because we're waiting for like the next bad thing to happen or the next shoe to drop. And from a like clinical side, sometimes people's nervous system is almost wired to start firing when things are calmer, because that is when it's chaotic, it's unpredictable, and so your wires, kind of air quotes here, get crossed. And when it's like really chaotic or unhealthy, you're able to like regulate yourself a little bit more because that's predictable, like that's safe, quote unquote, to you. And then when things do slow down and you have this kind of stability, that sets people like on edge and makes them feel very uneasy at times. But I think I can definitely identify with the like the boringness or the mundane. And I was outside today. I try to do my workouts outside because I am indoors way too much. So that's my like get outside and interact with the world kind of thing. Well, you just like glitched. Yourself like moved, and it was like really wild to see. Like you were just like right there, and then you moved a second, and I was like, did I see that? Was that real? And then you like went back. It was wild. But anyway, so I was sitting outside and I was stretching after my workout today, and I was laying like on my back looking up at the sky, and the clouds were like moving and they were like really low, and I was like, wow, this is what my life is like right now. Like I'm on my lunch break, I'm laying on my back and I'm looking at the clouds. I feel like I'm 5. Is there and I liked that feeling. I was like, this is really nice. But then I was also like, when is there going to be a little more excitement? Because my excitement today was looking at the clouds.
No, absolutely. Like, I feel like that's kind of how I feel too. Like I have little moments and I'm like, oh, this is really nice. But then I'm like, I think for me, sometimes I really get into like, oh, like not I'm boring, but like I need to do something more exciting because I'm single, And like I've recently decided to not continue with the dating apps. And because I'm in this routine, I'm like, I have to break this routine if I expect to meet someone because my routine is I work from home. So I'm literally home Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, like I'll usually just spend it like with my close friends, but like at their house or something. Like me and my friends are really just like homebodies for the most part, or maybe they just adapt to me because they know I don't know. But so I was telling you, like, for my birthday coming up, I want to make a point of starting to do like more social outings because I'm just like, I like my life now, but at the same time, I'm like, I do want to meet someone, but I can't expect to meet someone if I decide not to do the apps and I don't ever leave my damn house. So, yeah.
I think sometimes it's almost like a catch-22, because like I have those urges of like, I want to leave my house, I want to have an adventure, not because I want to meet somebody, but just because I work from home. And yeah, enough said. So I have like a very similar feeling, but then also it's like if I make plans, I'm like, oh my God, I have to like get up, get dressed, put on regular clothes, because 90% of my life I've been in pajamas and I'm very comfortable in my pajamas. And then I have to like drive somewhere and I have to like be out and be social. And I think sometimes for me, the idea of having to do all of those things makes me not want to do it and just like stay in bed or cancel my plans. Like I have plans to meet up with an old friend for lunch. And initially I was like, yeah, it'll be good. Um, and then I thought, oh my God, I have to like do all of these things. And I would prefer to lay on my couch and read a book and not have to do any of those things.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like sometimes we get in our own way because I know exactly how you feel and I'll feel that way. And then when I go out and do it, I'm like, oh, I had a lot of fun. Like, I'm so glad I did that.
Yep.
But for me, like, I just think like the type of things that I want to do, because obviously I don't drink. And I'm not a big fan of like huge crowds anymore. So I don't mind social settings if it's like very open or you know, just like not like, I just don't want people like on top of me. So like the idea of like going to a bar or a club, like that's not my idea of like going out and doing more like social things, like maybe like a farmer's market or, you know, things like that. But I think I have to get out of my own way to do it and enjoy it, because I'm the same way. I'll be like, oh, Saturday and Sunday, though, like those are my days to relax. I don't want to have to like stress myself out and go and do things. But at the end of the day, like when I do them, I'm like, oh, I had a good time. I'm glad that I did that. But it's like I have to push myself and get myself out of my head, in the sense of thinking like that it's gonna just tire me out.
And I think we're also entering like this different life phase that we don't like go to the club anymore. Like we don't go to the bar, and that's not like our idea of like a good time. You know, it would be like a picnic or, you know, a farmer's market. That's like, yes, let's go to the farmer's market, you know? And so I think that's also something to kind of consider, is that what we think of as fun, like social outings, is starting to change as we're getting older. And like, how do I meet like-minded people, whether it's for a relationship or even friendships, that enjoy doing those things? Because, you know, if you meet somebody at a bar or meet somebody at a club, maybe that you know, that's like what they like doing, and your values may be a little bit different, or they're just like, I need to get out of my comfort zone, and this place has a lot of people. That's possible too. But, you know, how can I do activities where I'll find like-minded people?
Absolutely. And I also feel like because we are kind of going through this transition, it's almost like you get this feeling of FOMO. And we discussed this on a couple episodes back of like, in example is Gasparilla, of like back in the day, I used to love Gasparilla. But like in reality, if I were to go now, I would just be so cranky and like grumpy, because I'd be like, these people are annoying the hell out of me because they're just drunk and doing stupid things, and I'm tired, and you know, but like it's that, you know, like that transition of like, I know that I wouldn't enjoy it, but I also know that I did enjoy it in the past. And so like I'm torn of like, I want to enjoy it again, but that's just not where I'm at anymore. And I'm learning to like accept that. So sometimes there's that tornness about it, because I did used to like doing all those crazy partying things. And I think maybe once in a while I would like it again. But at the end of the day, like you said, I agree with you of like, in reality, if I were to meet someone out there, I don't think we would mesh, because that's not who I am most of the time. Most of the time I'm working. And then when I'm not working, I want to chill, or I want to paint, or, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah. You need to find like a, you know, like a Sunday morning like yoga thing that people do, or a like a painting thing. They just, you like go to a park at a certain time with a whole bunch of people, and you just like sit there and you paint.
Well, you know, it's funny that you say that, because my cousin who recently visited my family for Easter said that, you know, she was also over like the dating apps. And so she actually started, I think she said like a running club and a biking club, like every Tuesday and Thursday. And she knows, she was like, you meet people through meeting people. And
Yeah.
so she was like, we did these every Tuesday and Thursday. We would go run or bike, and then we would go hang out at a brewery. And she was like, that's how she ended up ultimately meeting her boyfriend, not from the actual club that she did. And so I was like, oh, that's a good idea. But like, I don't know how to start like a freaking club. Like, but I was like, but like you said, like a yoga one, like a yoga for beginners, or like a paint, like that is like, that's my cup of tea, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Are you still because I remember when you were transitioning into like, what do I want to do work wise? Do you still want to get your yoga certification?
I would be interested. I need to be more like for me, I'm so bad at being consistent with anything. Like if jobs didn't pay, I wouldn't even be able to be consistent going because I just, but then again, I feel like if I didn't have to go to work Monday through Friday, I'd probably be more consistent with other things because I'd have the energy. But funny that you say that, because that was another part that I wanted to talk about of like, when you have this routine that's already planned out and everything, trying to incorporate something new into it can be very like sometimes challenging and stressful and intimidating. And that's kind of how I feel right now, is like I have this routine that's pretty consistent, but I do want to try to incorporate working out. But just the idea of working out, especially after working 8 hours or whatever, I'm just like, how do I do that? But like, what I'm trying to remind myself is, one, just take it day by day, and two, just do what I can. Like today, I just did 15 minutes. You know what? That might not be a lot to some people, but to me, that's 15 minutes more than I did yesterday. So,
yeah. I think I found, so this is the most consistent that I've been with working out in a while, because I was like really good when back in 2020, 2019, like when I was still in the office during my lunch break, I would do yoga in my office and just like shut my door, and I would eat or do my yoga, one or the other. And that's like how I would spend my lunch break. And I really liked that because I needed like some type of like break or routine. And then I started doing like more workouts. So like instead of yoga, I do like a 10 or 15 minute like little workout like in my office. And then when the pandemic hit and we all got sent home, I was like, oh, this is great. Like I have weights at home, you know, I can be more flexible. And then I fell off. But these past couple of weeks I've been really consistent. And I think something that has helped me that I've learned is I do things when I feel productive, because I know like when I get off work, the likelihood of me wanting to work out is like zero. So I try to build it into my day when I'm feeling most productive or I have the most energy. And that's almost kind of like a ripple effect, because I'm having this energy, like I feel good. And then after I work out, that gives me the extra boost that I need to get through the rest of my day. So I've been finding I'm not as tired throughout the day as I usually am, because around like 3 o'clock is usually like Shamina's nap time and I need to take a nap. But that's when I go back to work on my long days. But since I've been working out, I have a little bit more energy and I'm feeling like geared up and like ready to go. And it's a nice feeling.
see, for me, I feel like I struggle with working out and everything because, one, I'm out of shape. So that initial starting is like super hella hard. And then two, I get super bored so easily. Like, I'm not the person that can run and just be like, this is so fun. Like, I'm like, this is boring. I'm going to go home and sit on my couch and do nothing rather than freaking like. So I feel like for me, and I feel like this is how I've always been, even growing up. Like for me to exercise, it has to be something that's like keeping my attention. So like growing up, I played basketball, but that was like super fun. And like, so that's what I did. But then like, as I got older, you know, and like people are going to the gym, I'm like, I'm going to pass on that because that just like lifting weights is not going to keep my attention. And that just sounds really freaking boring. And I know. So like, I mean, you know, I've been trying to like incorporate like hula hooping or jump roping, or like I even am like looking into like doing a pole fitness class. But like that's what I need, because I'll be like, this is boring. I'm not even gonna finish this because I'm done. And so like literally and then it's so hard because I'm out of shape. So like 2 minutes in, I'm like, screw this, and I'm out.
Yeah. I think that because I do like online videos and those are mostly like I need somebody to tell me what to do. I can't just like,
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah.
work out today and you know, I go do stuff. I just stand there like, what should I do? I don't know. And so I think that organized in the structure of like, okay, you're doing this and this is the timer and this needs to happen. And I just have to be this little like mindless zombie that follows along. That's super helpful for me. And do you remember, this made me think of it when we were in high school? We used to go run like at my house afterwards around the neighborhood. It's like 90,000 degrees outside, and we would just like go run and then we'd have smoothies.
We would run, do a workout, and then yeah, you would make a smoothies. And like I really feel like the only reason I did that is because you kept me motivated to do it. Because like again, when it comes to working out, I lack self-motivation. I feel like any other part of my life, I'll be like, I got to do this, I'm going to do this. But working out, I'm like, ain't nobody pushing me, I am not doing it, you know? And so like that's another thing that I think about, of just like, yeah, I need that, like, come on, Karlie, let's do this, because if not, I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna sit on the couch right here.
Yeah, I feel you. And I think right now my motivation is I want to feel better in my body. And that's been like really nice because we do work from home, so we sit all the time, and like you have Blue to get out and walk, but I have a yard, so I just like take my dogs out in the yard, and there's no reason for me to like have physical exercise and activity. But I've just been noticing like my energy levels are really down, or I just don't feel right in my body sometimes, and that's been really excuse me, that's been really helpful as like a motivator, because it's not like I want to lose weight or I want to look really good. It's I want to give my body some movement because I know that that's what it needs. And it's that helps me stay motivated. And some days I'm like, oh, I'm really tired, like I don't want to. But then it's like, okay, the next day your body needs movement. Like I'm trying to like frame it as you're like a living thing,
Yeah.
and that thing needs to move, and if it doesn't, then bad things happen.
Yeah, it's like, it's just like a tool or something. Like, if you don't consistently use it, it's gonna,
You'll lose it.
Yeah, you use it or you lose it, because if you don't use it and then you try to use it later down the road, it's going to probably be really choppy and like difficult to use. And like, I think for me, so one thing I was going to say before is, one thing that I'm trying to remind myself is just take it day by day. Because what I struggle with is I look ahead and then I'm like, working out every day, that's too much, that's stressful. And then I get intimidated and then I just quit before I even get started, because mentally I look too far ahead. So I just try to remember, like, every day, just do something. But then I think I also struggle because I've never struggled, and I don't want to say never, but I struggle because I've not really struggled with my body image. Like, I've always been pretty comfortable with my body and just like, this is me, like, take it or leave it. So I feel like that's another reason. But I will say recently, like, I tried on some jeans that's been a while, and I was like, oof, want to feel bad about yourself, try on an old pair of jeans. So like, I was just like, there were some jeans that like they fit, but they were a little snug. So I was like, I would like to be able to wear these comfortably, especially because like there are pairs that literally still have the tags on them. So I feel like that's also like, but I think I'm the same way as you, is like, I really want to just do it to get my body moving. Like, I'm too young to feel this old. And I say that all the time, but it's really because you got to move it. If you don't move yourself, you're going to get all cranky and like, stuck. And so when you move, you're going to be all stiff and be like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. But if you're constantly just like, let's move, I think that helps. Like, obviously take breaks and whatnot, but.
Yeah. And I think it's helped a little more even with work, because I am so like stationary and sedentary that I was having like hip issues, and I cross my legs a lot when I sit at my desk, and so that was really impacting just like my lower body. And now since I started working out, like my hip hasn't been hurting, which is really nice, because before I couldn't like do anything because of how bad my hip would hurt at the end of the day, or like my lower back hurts so bad just because I'm sitting in this chair all day. And so I think that's also like been really helpful, is I'm not in as much pain as I used to be in before.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, my job, I literally sit at my desk all day. And like the past like couple days, I've actually gotten to where I'm like, you know what? Like, I need to move around, because like I'm the type of person, I think, because I work from home, I don't ever want my supervisor to think that I'm not doing my job. So I'm always in front of my computer, like ready for if an email comes in or if I need to do a task. But this past couple days, I'm like, you know what? Like, if I need to take 10 minutes and walk around and like get fresh air or something, I'm going to do that. And that email can wait. And like my supervisor, she's like obviously one that's like kind of embraced that and told me to do that. And that's why I'm embracing it, because she's like, they can wait 10 minutes, she's like, if you need to get some fresh air or you just need a breather, like do it. And so like, I'm trying to do that more often, of like being like, all right, I need to get up and move. I need to do, even if it's like just taking my dog real quick around the block or something like that, because when you know me, my lower back is like horrible. And I notice like when I don't do anything, it's so bad. And so like lately I've been trying to even like yesterday morning I did yoga before work because I usually get up with enough time that I usually will like sit and just chill on the couch. But yesterday I was like, oh, let me do like a morning yoga, like a quick little like stretch. And it was nice.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it's hard when you do have this routine to start implementing like new habits or, even when you're working that traditional like 9 to 5 type of job. When I was doing that, the only time I could implement new stuff was during my day. And that was only because I was working from home, because otherwise I was just so mentally and physically exhausted. I don't know how I did it, or like I don't know how people do it, because I only work like 4 days a week now and I have like large chunks of time in between. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm really tired. Like, then
I
I
don't know. I don't know how people work full-time jobs and then come home and care for their children, or like people who have full-time jobs and then like every day after work go to the gym for an hour. I'm like, how do you do that? Because literally by the time I mean, granted, I go to bed probably earlier than most people, but I'm like, by the time I get off of work and walk my dog, I have like 3 to 4 hours before I'm like, all right, I need to go to bed. So I'm like, y'all crazy. But I guess when you start doing it and you get used to it, you don't even think anything of it. And that's what I'm hoping I get to one day.
And I think it's also important that like we slow down and prioritize the stuff that we want to do or that we enjoy doing. For a lot of people, whether it's exercise or spending time with your animals or reading or watching TV or what have you, it's so easy to just like get caught up in like the day to day that we don't take the time to do things that we enjoy. And I talk a lot to my clients about this, of being really intentional with like small moments throughout the day. So like, let's say you want to work out for, I think you told me today, you're like, I'm going to shoot for a half hour. And I was like, half hour? That seems like a long time. And you're like, I'll do whatever I can. But like, what if you broke that up, like throughout the day, you did 10 minutes um, instead of like one big chunk of time?
No, I was literally going to say that. I think also like when it comes to things that are new to us or like foreign to us that we want to start to incorporate, 10 minutes, 15 minutes seems like eternity. But if you compare it to what you usually do of sitting on the couch or scrolling through social media, it goes by like that. So
Right.
like that's how I was trying to think of it today, of like I literally went out front and I set a timer for 15 minutes and I was just like, I'm just going to jump rope for as long as I can and then I'll come back in. And you know what? That was 15 minutes. Bless you. That was 15 minutes that I normally probably would have just sat on my couch like a blob going through social media. And so like, it's really how we prioritize our time, like we really do have enough time to do all of these things in the day. But I mean, granted, there is mental exhaustion, so that is a real thing and everything. But at the end of the day, like there is enough time. It's just, what is your priority? Is your priority doing nothing and getting that rest, or is your priority, let me move my body? And again, like for me, the biggest thing is I have to take it day by day. Like if I'm like, I'm gonna be doing this every single day and I'm gonna do this, then I'm like,
Well, I think it goes back to what we said earlier of like getting out of our own way in choosing to prioritize that time or choosing to take it day by day, because it is really easy to like stay in that old thought pattern and being really fixated on the outcome or what's going to happen in 3 days or a week from now, or I just don't have enough time, I have to do this, I have to stay in front of my computer, I can't let my boss see that I'm unproductive. But what's 10 minutes? If you don't respond to an email in 10 minutes, you're going to get fired? Probably not.
And it's funny because I think back to like a couple years ago, like 5 years ago, and I would go work out and like spend fucking 3 hours working out. Now, what? Hell no. Like, but again, it's just because my mindset has changed. Granted, I worked out for not actually working out, but to be with someone and spending time with them. But I worked out and so it was like a win-win, I guess, at the same time. But like now I'm like, I could not imagine spending a Saturday or a Sunday 3 hours of my day working out. But again, like, but 15 minutes, I could do that. I could do that. 30 minutes, I could do that. But like,
Yeah. And it is a lot how you frame it or think about it. And I think with physical activity, that's one of those things that we blow up, or we're like, I can't do this. We're very, we defeat ourselves. And I think it's so interesting that like your emotional and mental health journey, you're like, I'm on it. I'm journaling every day. I'm doing the work. I'm going to therapy. I'm doing all this stuff. And then when it comes to your physical health, you're like, nope, we cannot do that.
I know, it's so bad. It's so, I know, and I will admit a million times over, physical health for me, I struggle so much. Like, I'm really bad at self-motivation. I'm really bad at being consistent. It's just I don't know. That's just a weird area for me in my life, that's where I'm like,
yeah. But I wonder like what would happen if you found a way to change the mindset or motivate yourself as you did with your mental health, because like we've talked about this time last year, you're like, Shamina, this is like intense, and am I ever going to stop feeling this way? Will I ever stop crying? This is so intense. Like, when are things going to get better? And I think that's kind of like where you're at with your mental health, is like, or physical health is, I want to do these things. I want to be on the other side. I want blah, 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 blah. But I'm wondering like what would happen if you found that way to like reframe or to see it as valuable as you do with your mental health.
I feel like for me, for physical health, I need to see it as something fun, you know? And so I personally feel like, as we've been talking, I feel like my best bet would be either creating or joining a group activity, and like it being a routine thing, like kind of how me and you every week we record at this time. So now it's not like something that, not that I ever dreaded it, but like I had to move things around and I was like, but now it's like, no, I know on this day at this time, this is what I'm doing, no questions asked. So I feel like if I were to join or create like a bike riding group or something, and I just knew, hey, every Wednesday at 7, I'm riding my bike with a group of people, and that's what it is. And then it'd be like fun, and it's not like I'm doing this to lose 20 pounds. It's like, no, I'm just going on a bike ride with a whole bunch of friends around the neighborhood,
Yeah. And I think that goes back to like the life stability, is when we establish a routine that works for us, we tend to thrive a lot better. Some people can be, and I used to be so surprised when we were younger, like how spontaneous you were, or, you'd be like, hey, like, what are you doing? Let's do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, that needs to be like on my calendar. Like, you have not asked me 24 to 48 hours in advance. Like, this is not happening. And now that's the type of person you are. Is like, it needs to be scheduled and planned. But I used to think like, my God, that seems so exhausting. Like, you were just off the cuff, like, we'll see what happens tonight kind of thing. But I think it's more sustainable when we do have that organization, or we do have that structure, because then we can think of things a little more objectively, or like, okay, where do I have time to prioritize going out a little bit more, or socializing, or self-care, or physical health, or whatever it is. Because when we don't have that organization, it's really easy to get lost in the chaos.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is like, so obviously, how my life was before. I'd hit you up like 30 minutes before and be like, you want to go do this with me? I just found out about it. And like, so obviously going to that, to transitioning to like this being my life now, of like literally everything is a routine, it is a big change. And so there are moments where I'm like, I kind of miss that, but like in reality, I don't. Like, I mean, I might miss it, but like, do I want that back? Absolutely not. But it's just kind of like that trick that your brain plays on you, of like, you do want it back, and then you're kind of like, oh. So I think that's why it's like to remember, like, I don't know, I feel like stability and like steadiness is like a sign of growth in a sense. And like, I saw this quote, I can't remember what it was, but it was like, when you think that your life is boring because it's not, it's just stability or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, because I think that's nice to like remind, because there are times where I'm like, oh, I don't do anything like out of the norm, like I can tell you what my day is going to be like every day. But I do enjoy that too. So,
But I think it's important to remember that we can still have those elements like the excitement, or you can still be spontaneous. If you have your routine and then you get off work and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go downtown and I'm gonna go out to eat by myself tonight, or oh, I see that there's this event, like I'm gonna go, kind of thing, without it being planned or structured. And we can still have those moments. It's not like oh my God, I'm so old, I'm so boring, I get off work, I watch TV, I take Blue out, and then I go to sleep, kind of thing. We get to still have that excitement if you want to be able to, and it never goes away unless you allow it.
yeah. Yeah, but I think like we've been saying, the important part is to prioritize it, because it's easy to be like, oh, I just worked 8 hours. Like, do I want to get all dressed up to go downtown? And I have work in the morning. And so, like, when you think of it like that, or if you just think of it of like, oh, I'm going to go and I'll come home when I want to, and I'm going to enjoy myself for whatever time it is.
Yeah. Sometimes I like to, I don't really like go out or anything, but I stay up later than I usually do. Most of the time I'm reading. But I get like really excited, and I'm almost like rebellious. Like, I have work in the morning, but I'm gonna stay up, and if I'm tired, that's okay. And like I'll suffer through it because this is exciting, and I don't want to be a rule follower. I want to be a rebel who stays up late and does something that I enjoy doing.
I do that, but usually it'll be on the weekends, and I'll be like, ooh, I'm going to stay up till midnight tonight watching some Netflix because I can sleep in tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm such a rebel, but like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but I usually do it only on the weekends. On the weeknights, it's very strict. I need my 8 hours.
I used to be like that, and if I did do something on a weeknight, I was like, I gotta be home. Like, this is like a school night. Like, no, no, thank you. But then now I'm trying to like break out of that and saying like, this is my one life to live. If I'm tired the next day, or I don't get the 8 hours, is that going to be such a big deal 10 years from now? Or will I enjoy, like, oh my God, I this excitement of like staying up or doing this thing, or having this conversation with somebody. I'm trying to appreciate those moments instead of being like really rigid in my thought process as I usually am.
Well, I feel like I already struggle with sleep as it is because my dog sleeps with me, and she takes up like 90% of the bed, and she moves throughout the night, and she'll like hit me to like open up the covers for her. So half the time I'm like half asleep every night because I have to make sure if I feel her, then I have to lift the covers to let her get under. So like I may go to bed with the idea that like, oh, if I go to bed right now, I'll have 9 hours to sleep. But like in reality, I'll probably have slept like maybe 5 hours of that, because like especially like with my back been hurting. Like last night, I want to say I maybe got like 3 hours of sleep, but I was in bed by like 10:30, and I don't wake up until like 7:38. But I got maybe 3 hours because I was just tossing and turning because my hips were hurting so much. I'm like, it's my life. So maybe if I move more, my body won't hate me.
The things we do for our animals.
Bro, I so badly don't want her to sleep on the bed with me, but unfortunately, I created this habit and now I have to live with it. And she loves to push her body up against me. Like she has to be touching me at night, and she'll like start the night off above the covers, and then like she'll decide she wants to go under them. So and it's a whole, like, she knows what to do. She walks up to the head of my bed and puts her nose by the covers, so then I have to lift it up to let her under. Then she does a little circles, plops her body down. She'll be there for a couple hours probably. Then she decides she needs some air, so then she lifts her body, so then I have to lift the covers to let her out. And it's just a whole, like, I literally probably barely sleep at night because she's got to be comfortable and get her beauty sleep. And then we wake up, I take her on a freaking walk, and then she curls up on the couch while I go to work. I'm like, oh.
It's all about the mindset, reframing. I get to have these moments at night with my dog, and I can feel the warmth and cuddle.
It is cute, but I will say on the nights when my roommate sleeps downstairs, she usually stays with him. I love those nights. I sleep so good on those nights, and I'm just like, Blue's, like, it was funny because in the beginning I'd be like, Blue, come sleep with mommy. What are you doing? Now I'm like, you don't want to come to bed? That's cool. That's cool. I'm not calling your name. You'll come when you want to come. And then usually, because he goes to work like early in the morning, usually around like 5:36, she comes into bed and snuggles up with me, and I'm like, oh, he must be leaving for work now.
That's too funny.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole freaking thing.
It is.
A whole podcast on our animals.
I think that would be super fun. Please, let's do it. I have so many stories. I think it's so funny being like animal people instead of, I don't have like human children, because when I go hang out with other people, we talk about our animals. Like we tell stories like we would if they were our kids, like, like Worm did this, or like Daisy's pissing me off. And I catch myself like in the moments of these conversations with my friends, and I think it's hilarious just how much we tell these stories. And I mean, I could spend like hours like going back and forth with somebody like talking about my dogs or my cats.
Well, it's true. They say, that meme, they say plants are the new pets, pets are the new kids, and kids are something you don't want.
I haven't seen that.
And it's true. And I feel the same way. I could talk all day about my dog and what she does. And I do. She's my daughter. So I talk to her like that. And I will be the same way. Like, even sometimes I'm like, Blue, you're so annoying. Like, today on the walk, I'm like, can you stop being so freaking curious? Like, let the people do what they want to do. Like, she'll see our neighbors and she'll be like, what are you doing? And like thinks I'm stupid, and she'll like pretend to be sniffing and like watching the neighbors. I'm like, let's go, bro. Like, oh my God.
She's clever, mama.
She's not. She thinks she is.
That's too funny.
But anyways, back to the stability of a routine. Anyways, just if you do have a stability, be proud of yourself. And if you don't, be proud of yourself. Whatever fits your life.
Yes. And if you're what?
I was just saying, either way, don't feel bad about yourself.
Yes. If you're working towards stability, then take comfort in knowing that you are progressing towards the goal. If you have the stability, take comfort in knowing that you can always change it up and be spontaneous or do something that you have never done before, because you're not boring and you're in control.
Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Security. All right.
When I was creating some content for our social media, that's all I can think of for that episode, because it had recently launched, and I was just like, oh my God. I was even sitting on the couch today, and I just could hear you in my mind saying that over and over again.
You should have searched Bonquiqui security with like Burger King, and then made that as like a get ready for our episode. Security.
That would have been good.
Oh.
So, are you guys feeling emotionally full? We were a little all over the place today, but that's okay.
We had a point.
We got there.
Yeah.
We want to know from all of you, do you feel that you are at a stable place in your life, or you are working towards stability, or you are living in disorganized chaos?
And also, if you are in stability, or I guess the chaos, what is something that you struggle with? So like if you're in stability, like Do you struggle with FOMO or with incorporating new routines or with having energy, or if you're like in organized chaos or disorganized chaos? What do you struggle with?
Let us know. Comment below, DM us on the gram, message us on Facebook. That's all I got.
Let us know what you feel. Also, if you want to give us some topics of like something you'd like to hear about, that could be cool.
That would be cool too. I will hit people up on social and see what the people want. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Look at this. We got content for days.
We will see you all same time, same place next week.
Bye.
Bye.